I'm going to tell you a story as I climb a ridge in northwestern Alaska with my Alaskan husky, Gale. Join me as we explore a mountainous tundra region. We began at the edge of the river, Fox Creek, bending low to pick a mushroom, golden brown skin, warm from the sun. When I squeezed it, its flesh was firm, like summer bread, a bollete, porous underneath, not gilled. Edible? Maybe. I'd research it later. The ridge was waiting, steep and dry, and we knew we'd be thirsty. The water sparkled in the riverbed. It was cold, crisp, and clean, and we needed it before the climb. The heat was real, scorching in that deceptive Alaskan way. People forget this. When the sun hangs high above the tundra, even 60 degrees can burn. It's like sitting beneath a heat lamp, a dry, relentless heat. Alaska's northern proximity to the sun makes it fierce. Gale drank fast and long, feet in the creek, belly in the flow. Then she looked at me with that face that always asks, "Are we going?" We didn't come for anything important, just the most important thing of all, to feel, to sweat, to be awed, to remember we're alive in a place that awakens. They say the little people live in these hills, between gray rocks and purple river beauty, where the wind shifts and the ground looks softer than it is. There wasn't a trail, just wild land, and us weaving a soft thread through it. Perhaps a basset's hound could have followed us. Maybe not. We began with a promise that the higher we climbed, the more we'd understand why we came. Yet the sun was relentless, each step seemingly steeper than the last. I paused more often than I meant to. Even I, who craves the high places, asked myself, is this high enough? Gale didn't wait. She darted through the willow and boulder, chasing squirrels she'd never catch. But catching isn't the point. The chase is. At one point she stopped, stared up the slope ahead. I think she even wondered how much more. Or maybe she smelled them. The little people watching us from behind lichen-covered stones, deciding whether we were friend or fool. We found a patch of purple river beauty flowers just below the next rise, petals radiant against the rock. Gale ran through them, alive in the color, basking, brilliant. I crouched beside a yellow star flower, so small I almost missed it. Its petals trembled, breathing in the wind. I love the big sweeps of the land, but it's also the small things that hold me. The way lichen lays flat against a rock, tight, stubborn, older than memory. The way moss folds under your hand, damp, but alive. I crouched lower, tracing the delicate scatter of wildflowers. Yellow, white, purple. Soft explosions rising from the tundra, as if trying to catch the briefest summer light. What struck me wasn't just this flower, but the spectacle of life itself, rising from a place so rough, so rarely seen. This is what astonished me. The sheer variety of life blooming in a place so unforgiving. Then, a sudden outburst, a blurting, bubbling, cackling from all sides. Gale jolted. So did I. Her ears turned first, then her eyes. I followed her gaze. A flock of ptarmigan bursting from cover. Their wings clapped the air as they ran more than flew, making those strange gargling laughs, half frog, half mischief. It always catches me off guard, that sound, like the land itself chuckled. My heart was still thudding when Gale gave chase, springing into protector mode, or maybe just hopeful for a bird dinner. I stayed crouched, one hand steadying me on the moss. The ridge grew still again, but something lingered. Not the birds, something quieter. I once heard a story passed down from a man whose grandfather lived not far from here, long before the roads and houses appeared. The old man had gone walking one foggy morning, bow in hand. He crested a hill like this one and saw movement below. He crouched, thinking the small specks were caribou, but it wasn't. It was them, small figures, barely knee-height, moving fast, dressed in furs, darting between rocks, their faces painted with earth and smoke. They hunted together, fluid as the wind. And when one paused and turned, it looked right at him, smiled, and vanished, gone, instantly, as if they were never there. No smoke, no poof, as if they took hold of the fog and wrapped it around themselves. The old man stood alone. He never returned to that ridge, said he hadn't been invited. I think of that story every time I walk here, because once you've stood still long enough, once you've felt the hush press around you, you start to wonder if they're watching too. Maybe through the flowers, maybe through the stones, or maybe they're just standing in plain sight, so well woven into the land that your eyes slip past them like water over rock. I leaned closer to a patch of moss campan. Tiny pink petals shaped like stars, the kind of beauty you can't see unless you're willing to kneel. The ground was alive, the shimmer of dew, the breath of the tundra rising up. Sometimes I think this is where they live, in these hidden folds just beneath the line where noticing stops. Maybe that's why they hide, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because the loud things, the obvious things, they're the first to fade. But the quiet ones, the ones that go unseen, they last. At the top, the wind met us like a messenger, not a greeting, a test. We stood on the ridgeline. Below us, the river twisted silver through the valley, a ribbon of water and time. Gale faced into the wind, nose high, eyes half closed. Her fur danced like it remembered something ancient. And me? I felt small, so delightfully small. Not diminished, but placed. Reminded, you are part of this, and it will go on, with or without you. They say the little people live up high, where moss grows thick and the rocks grow teeth. And if they find you worthy, they might leave a gift. I didn't see anything at first, but later in my pack, I found a single, pressed, purple flower petal. I didn't put it there. The walk down was quieter, not because we were tired, but because we were full. The land had given us something, and we didn't yet have words for it. Gale still chased, rounding the corner out of sight, a quick dash here, a sprint there. Her joy was alive. Yet she kept closer now, quieter. She trotted around me, chasing, walking, watching the wind, ears flickering, tuned to some world I could not hear. I looked back once, just once. The ridge seemed less steep now from below. The flowers disappeared. The creek, our watering hole, nearer and nearer. At the bottom, I held an empty bag, ready to be filled with blueberries. It was time to pick.